What's up, everybody, and welcome into the number one Group of Five college football podcast in the world. This is the Group of Five, guys. If you don't know who we are, our mission is to be the voice for the Group of Five football programs, the voice that's a mainstream sports media absolutely refuses to be. We need your help. Need you to follow us on all the social media platforms at Group of Five, guys. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your best podcasts. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a 5-star rating and a review. Tell your family and friends all about us. Or you can download the Varsity app for free. Listen to our show on there. Or you can go to groupof5guys.com and get you some Group of Five Guys merch. On this episode, conference realignment continues to realign. So we're going to try our best to keep up with that a little bit. We're going to talk about the Group of Five versus the Power Four, and if there are any trends in success or lack thereof success. We're going to preview this Army-Temple game for Thursday night. Hope you enjoy the show. Have you had it from somebody born and raised in Lafayette, Louisiana, at a tailgate? Doubt it.
I said Michael Pratt has got to show up and play, and boy did he. 394 yards, 4 touchdowns, 48 rushing yards on the ground, and another touchdown.
Projected getting drafted between the first and third round. The wide receivers are absolutely stacked for the Group of Five.
Yeah, I really appreciate you do for the Group of Five programs, and I think it's great. I think we should get more of this. But you guys are on the forefront of this, and
so I'm thankful for this. I'm glad that you're talking about the Group of Five because I think they get overlooked.
But it's a ton of fun to watch a guy go to the NFL from a Nevada or a Colorado State or a Middle Tennessee or an App State, and fans follow that kid.
Well, Jeff, let's get the cat out of the bag. This is a pre-recorded show. We are recording Tuesday night on account of I have to travel for work in the morning. So I will be out of the house by about 5 a.m. So sorry, guys, I'm not going to record a show before that. So this is pre-record. Thank you, everybody. If you're in the live chat, try to keep up with the YouTube as this is going, but be a little more difficult as I will be driving at that hour, and I'm sure Jeff will be trying to do the same. But we got a big show for you. The conference realignment is just getting out of whack, and we're getting these graphs sent to us as if the Group of Five is not doing better than normal against the Power Four, which I think, without looking at any data or stats, you'd think we're having one of the better years we've had. But we'll dig into that a little bit. But first, I am not drinking my Deca Gray coffee because it is nighttime as we're recording this show. But huge shout out to Deca Gray coffee. I will be drinking lots of it in the morning. Make sure you visit decagray.com. Use our code GOFG. Get you the Group of Five Guys Game Day Dark Roast. Get yourself ready for these Saturdays. Especially, I'm going to tell you, I like coffee even more when the temperature drops a little bit. Nothing like a hot cup of joe when it's a crisp fall Saturday.
There's nothing better than it. Waking up, got football on the TV. Have a nice cup. I even got an afternoon cup. Went with the iced coffee this afternoon.
Really? Now, he does have decaf on there, I believe.
He does.
That may be a route we need to go.
If I'm going to drink coffee, it is, I want the full caffeination.
Yeah.
It's the only reason why I'm drinking it.
Well, yeah. Hey, shout out to Deca Gray. Visit the website, roast to order. So when you order a bag, it then gets roasted and then bagged and shipped to your doorstep. Well, I'm going to try to keep us updated on this conference realignment. I think the latest, as we're recording this, is the Utah State to the Pac-6, I believe they're at now.
6 or 7. One
You
of the
got
two.
you had Memphis, Tulane, South Florida, and UTSA announce their commitment to the American, which I did find interesting. I found it interesting that those 4 made a kind of a joint statement, and everybody else was just like, "We're committing to." It's like, well, I think Memphis, Tulane, South Florida, and UTSA were the targeted audience of the Pac-12. Air Force put out a statement that they are committed to the Mountain West, and UNLV's kind of. I haven't seen UNLV make any kind of a statement. They're definitely, to me, UNLV would be like the hottest target based on market, based on where they're at, based on football success, basketball success. You'd think they'd be the hottest target. But what do you think? What do you think about all of this, Jeff?
I think it reminds me of a lot when the transfer portal and NIL situation came about, like initially. Everybody's jumping at the first thing. And I think this is maybe the first sign of where teams are maybe being like, hold on a second. Maybe the grass isn't always greener, especially when you got to pay $27 million, I believe it was, per school to get out of the American. If I'm not mistaken, I think that was the number. And is the Pac-12 going to front those expenses? I don't think so. So I'm glad that these teams are staying in the American. I've said it over the last couple of weeks. The Pac-12 at this point is Pac-12 in name only. I don't think they're going to have the same media deal. I don't know how you could when you've lost your biggest brands in that conference. So I think it's smart for these schools to be patient. Why not stay in the conference that you've been in? You have the rivalries in that conference. Geographically, it makes sense. Build this conference and educate people on why the American or the Mountain West or the Sun Belt or the MAC Conference USA, why it's better, why it's a better conference than this makeshift Pac-12 Mountain West 2.0, you can call it, as of right now. Or maybe we get a Pac-12 Mountain West merger. I don't know. The Mountain West is, charging essentially the Pac-12 all these fees. And we just saw a little bit ago that the Pac-12 is going to, I guess, bring a lawsuit against the Mountain West to try and get those fees waived. I don't know. It's a mess. I just think that work on your conference, work on your brand and the brand of the conference as a whole, and elevate it to get a better TV deal, because that's what it's all about. I think these schools can do that. And if these conferences are smart, they're going to go at ESPN, CBS, Fox, and negotiate hard to get a better deal.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. Your Pac-12 cash cows left the Pac-12. So if you're negotiating a TV deal and you're Memphis or Tulane or South Florida, UTSA, or any of these other ones, you're just going to go to another conference and you're already the brand. So you're already in the conference where you could negotiate. And the American has an ESPN deal. Pac-12 right now is just trying to sell them on what they might be able to do. They don't have anything set up right now. So they're just kind of selling hypothetical stuff, what it could be. And then, for the fans that are upset, I think as much as I don't want to see these teams leave the group of five at all or anything like that, I think if you're Memphis or Tulane or any of those, South Florida, UTSA, I think you're closer to getting to the Big 12, which is probably what you'd rather have than the Pac-12. And that's kind of where I'm confused. And like you said, it's just jumping at the next shiny thing. It's very impulsive, it seems like. And it seems like a lot of them are, one school goes and then they all think, oh, we better follow what Boise State's doing. But I think you're right. I think these conferences or these athletic departments being patient as of right now, I think is the smart move and weighing their options. I think, again, I don't think it benefits them from a brand standpoint to go to the Pac-12, because here's the deal. As much as people want it to be a quote unquote Power Five again, It's not going to be. So you're not getting an extra chance at the playoff or an extra chance at a whole lot else, especially when there's not a current TV deal.
Yeah, and then the last thing I'll add to it is we talked to Chad Hassan a couple weeks ago, head of the collective over at Liberty, and it seems like it's fairly certain that revenue sharing in the next 2 to 3 years is going to happen, where universities can take their money and spend it, and you're going to get another split of 23 million and above, 23 million and below of what that university can afford on this revenue sharing thing. And if that happens, then everybody's going to be moving again. So it's like, if you're Memphis or Tulane, these American teams, like, are you going to pay $27.5 million to get out for a year and a half? Maybe for a year or 2 years later, you're going to have to redo everything again. It's like, that's a lot of money to just throw in the trash, essentially. So I think it's smart for them to just be patient, build your brand, build your conference, work a better TV deal for everybody in that conference, and then see where it goes. I wish the Mountain West would have been more, and maybe they were, and these companies just didn't value the viewership of the Mountain West. But you got to think that the Mountain West as a whole would have better TV viewership than Washington State and Oregon State solely in the Pac-12. Why wouldn't they try and go get those schools? And I'm sure they probably did, and it's probably Washington State and Oregon State who have their nose up, and it's like, nope, we can't go down. We can't go down to the Mountain West. Okay, well, you're trying to bring, you're trying to now take
all
those
the same
teams. And, bring them. So it's
Yeah.
like, just merge, become whatever the hell you want it to be called, negotiate a better TV deal, and everybody wins.
Yeah, everybody's just worried about that patch on their chest, and I don't get it. I really don't. I really don't. Oregon's not coming back. USC's not coming back. UCLA's not coming back. So the Pac-12 is, it's no more. And I mean, if in the way history goes, you might look at it in 100 years. I mean, you go back and you look at, hell, Tulane was winning SEC championships, it's just the conferences change, everything changes, but nobody has. I mean, the conference that was maybe the best conference, whatever it was, the Southwest or whatever it was back that had all the Texas schools and all that, like that conference doesn't even exist. And I bet you back in those times, I bet you all the people were like, this is the greatest conference of all time. We got all these great rivalries. And now, they snub their nose at teams that aren't in the SEC with them or the Big 12 with them. So I don't know. Anyway, you just tell me where to be. This is what I tell people. This is what happens when I'm at work and I get put on some email chain and they're all going back and forth trying to decide. I usually just give them a little reply all, and I say, hey, you guys just let me know where to be and I'll be there. Okay. Just take me out of the conversations and the hypotheticals. You just tell me what to do, when to do it, and it'll be done. Yeah, that's what I need from this. You just tell me what teams I'm covering. That's all I want to know.
It all sounds good, but just tell me, I'll bring my lunch pail, my hard hat, and I'm ready to go to work. Let's do it.
Yeah. Sounds nice, guys. You get out behind your desk and come over here. I'm in the office next door. Right. Why don't you just come have this conversation instead of having an email chain?
Yeah, good old fashioned face to face, huh? Handshake.
We don't want to do anything like that.
And
a handwritten note. Yeah. Hey, we got to talk about this. So we got tagged in something on the Twitter sphere. This is a tweet from David Hale. I believe he's some type of a writer for ESPN. I'm not entirely sure, but basically it's a graph. And he says, Group of Five is on pace for its worst season in at least the past 20 years versus the Power Five. And he's using this as an example of to what NIL and the portal has done to the Group of Five. This is essentially contrary to what Chad had to say last week when we talked, where he believes that NIL and the portal can help the Group of Five. But here's what he's got. So he's got the graph shows from 2006 to 2021, basically a 21.5% winning percentage. And there were 6 seasons where they were 25% or better. And then currently he's got from 22 to currently this year, it's about a 14% winning percentage. Now, I think there's a couple things to look at it. If you look at the graph, and I don't know, Jeff, if you're able to get this on the screen. I'm sorry I'm putting you on the spot if that's the case. But the graph is, the trend is it's going in waves. One season it's not that great, then it goes up a little, then it goes up a little, then it comes back down, then it goes up, and then it goes up, then it goes back down. And that's what it's done over the course of the last 20 years. But where he's using, where it stops in 2022, like if you would just include the 2021 season and take that out of the previous one, they'd be a lot closer. If that makes sense to what I'm saying here. The sample size is not the same. You're using a 15-year window and now a 3-year window. And I'll also add this, and I did respond. I'm hoping I can get some data on this, but that's all that's accounting for is wins and losses, right? Overall wins and losses. We know specific schools, Wake Forest, Missouri, that have canceled games against Group of 5 teams because they've flat out said it's too big of a risk and they might lose that game. So you're seeing games that are more winnable. You're seeing NC State cancel games against the Liberties, the App States, the James Madisons of the world because they know they're going to potentially lose. But you're not seeing Alabama cancel their game against Kent State. So that's what we're seeing. And this chart doesn't equate the 6-point loss from Bowling Green where they went back and forth. It doesn't equate the touchdown loss of Tulane and Kansas State, or Tulane and Oklahoma, or Boise and Oregon. So those are counting as losses, but those are not, it's not accounting for the fact that we are competing and we're in these games. And like we've been preaching now for 4 years, the top Group of 5 teams can compete not only with the middle of the road Power 5 teams, but the top Power 5 teams. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it on display this year. We've seen South Florida 2 years in a row play Alabama and take them down to the wire. You've seen Tulane do it. I mean, you see Boise's been doing it for 20 years. You've seen App State do it. You've seen James Madison hang 70 on North Carolina. So I think if you're just counting losses and what he's saying in this is that the gap is expanding, that's just not true. So you're not seeing the top Group of 5 teams. You sure as hell not seeing them go play the bad Power 4 teams. Those games are getting canceled. But you're seeing the top Group of 5 teams go to the top Power 4 teams and play them tight. Occasionally they squeak one out. You're seeing the middle of the road against the middle of the road. Games are close all the time. Now, yes, the ones that you're going to see broadcasted to push a narrative are when Tennessee plays Kent State. But I don't know. I just think the data is skewed, and don't even get me started on the officiating, because a lot of those games could potentially be wins if we had a fair and balanced officiating crew.
Yeah, and you also take into account, how many teams have moved up from the FCS ranks and in year 1 and year 2 are playing a Power 4 school. Like, that's an acclimation period, but I'm sure those are getting counted. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you need more data in that graph, in that research, to be able to analyze it. And I think pretty much post NIL, and I guess he's trying to make the comparison that the gap is widening because of NIL. But to me, it's once 2020 happened and you had the COVID year and you had NIL and transfer portal come into play, like it's almost impossible to now compare pre NIL and transfer portal and post. Post is a whole new ball game. It has changed the landscape of college football. Like, I don't think you can really compare the two anymore. They're two different completely games, and how to build a program, how to run a program, how to operate it. Like, it's just different. So I'm not really sure what the point he's trying to make is, but it just it seems lacking information to me.
Yeah.
But of course, he probably put it out for clicks, and I'm sure he's probably like a big time Boston College fan who really wants to try and say that they're so much better than the group of five when they're not.
Well, I know for a fact Boston College is on the losing end of some of those games.
100%.
But yeah, I mean, that's the point. The point he's trying to make is that NIL and the portal have widened the gap. That's the general point that he's trying to make. But again, I think you're right. I don't think we have enough to that. And the other part of it is the NIL and portal have not settled yet. So we're not even getting like the full example of what it's gonna be like. Right now, it's do whatever you want until we figure something out. And I've always said the pendulum is going to switch or is going to shift back because NIL, you're not going to see the Florida booster, promise Jaden Rashada $13 million and he transfers and then they don't deliver it to him and then he's suing the school. Like that stuff will, I think, even itself out. You're not going to see these multi-million-dollar NIL deals for high school kids. I think that will end up slowing down, especially as some of the places that are putting the most NIL money in, it's still not working for them. I think that'll slow down a little bit. I think kids will start to realize that, hey, if I go to Memphis instead of going to Tennessee or Texas A&M or somebody like that, I probably have a better chance to make the playoff at that school. So I think it'll balance itself out. But again, my whole thing is the trend would tell you that it's going to go back up. It's going to go up next year or the year after, and it's just there's not really any rhyme or reason, as to what seasons are good and what are bad.
Another point I want to make on it too is like, Alabama and Clemson and these other schools, maybe not Clemson because Dabo hates the portal, but these other schools, they've been flush with cash. Ole Miss, Texas A&M, like immediately when NIL came into effect, they had wads of money ready to go for their NIL. Whereas the group of five, like it's got to be raised organically. That stuff takes time. Now there's a couple schools that, Memphis who got that FedEx money, Liberty's just got a great donor base. So they're probably able to get going quicker. It takes a couple of years for collectives at these group of five schools to get going, to build, a bankroll to be able to sufficiently, fund its athletics program. So I think as you further get into it, it's only going to increase the funding, especially as you're able to get more players and more information gets out there that the grass isn't always greener, guys. Like give it some time, be at a place that you like to be at, that you're comfortable with, that the coaches, that you're going to at least get the opportunity to get the snaps and stats. That's the key. And I think as we can continue to push this message and more information gets out there to these kids, hopefully, I'm praying their parents and whoever's in their ear makes better decisions, because you've already seen it this year. Multiple players transfer to Power 5 programs, and they are not getting the same amount of stats or snaps on the field. And I think that information is hopefully getting out more. You're always going to have a couple that translate, but I would say the vast majority are not getting the same opportunity as the previous school they came from.
I will add two more points, and then we'll move on to Army versus Temple on this Thursday night game. Point number one is, and I didn't mention this, but, also all those games are on the road for the group of five, right? I mean, if you're lucky, you're getting a 2-for-1 if you're lucky. But most of the time, you're getting an early season trip to Ann Arbor or an early season trip to Tuscaloosa or Athens. So, you're not getting a middle of the season home game versus Oklahoma State. You're not getting those. And I had another point, and now I can't remember what it was, Jeff. If I think about it,
well, I'd be
I'll bring it up.
I'd be willing to bet 10, 15 years ago, a group of five were getting more home games. I'd bet a lot of money if you pull the data of how many home games the group of five had between that initial 15-year period, whatever he had, to the last five. I guarantee you the group of five had more home games where Power 4 teams were coming in, whereas in the last four, I mean, we've seen it. Missouri paid Middle Tennessee State 2 years ago $500,000 to not come to Murfreesboro. Like that is a real thing that is happening because they don't want to take the risk.
And I did remember the other point I was going to make. I would also like to see the data of your middle to bottom half Power 5 record against other Power 5 schools over the same course of time. Because, again, we've talked about this before when we talk about when everybody was saying that the Group of Five's record against your top teams is whatever it is. And it was like, well, yeah, dude, so is everybody else's. It's like when they used to, every time Nick Saban used to play one of his assistant coaches, they would say, well, Nick Saban is 10-0 against his former coaches. And I remember, I think it was Steve Sarkisian was like, okay, what's Nick Saban's record against every coach?
That's right.
Like 100-0. It's like this stat means absolutely nothing. You're just using it to push your own narrative. And that's last thing on this is, the only reason the reason that these schools are canceling games is because of a narrative that's pushed. Because a Power 4 team thinks it's a bad look to, God forbid, lose, but even play a tight game with a Group of 5 team, even if it's one of the top ones. Oregon is getting flack for not beating Boise State by enough. Instead of, the real truth is, it should be, damn, Oregon's a pretty good team. They just beat a really good Boise State team. But it's, Oregon struggled against a Group of 5 team at home. And that's just ridiculous because Oregon's going to play a lot of teams on their schedule that are not as good as Boise State. But guess what, Pat? They got a little patch on their chest and they got a little TV money. So they're going to get credit for those wins. Yeah, I mean, it's asinine. You could go to the SEC right now, and teams in the SEC are going to get more credit for beating Mississippi State, who we saw what happened to them, than they would get against beating a Sun Belt team or a MAC team. And it's all a narrative. That's all it is. It is all a calculated agenda by our national sports media. I'll tell you what, the national sports media is worse than the regular national media.
They're damn close.
In all honesty,
they're damn close.
I mean, it's pretty bad. But anyway, I got somebody, Jeff, that the national media needs to start talking about. And I'm so glad. This is perfect timing for these guys to get the national stage on Thursday night. And that is the Black Knights of Army West Point. And let me tell you something. Of course, I'm saying all this, and they're probably going to lay an egg now Thursday night after I hype them up. I think, Jeff, you said this preseason. You said if Army gets by FAU and Rice, they got a chance to be 9-0 before they play Notre Dame in the Bronx. I'm guessing that game's at Yankee Stadium. Is that what we're doing here now?
I have no idea. Let me see if I can find out about it while you're talking.
I know it's in the Bronx, and they're claiming it's a neutral site. Unfortunately for Army, I don't think anywhere is a neutral site for Notre Dame. I don't think Notre Dame plays road games ever. I mean, it's very rare. And if they do, it's if they go to these neutral sites, they go to Ireland, they go to New York, they go to Chicago, they go to all the places that have this, heavy Irish Catholic, population and fan base.
Yep, New York.
So they got fans all over the place.
Yankee Stadium.
That's
where that's going to be played.
That.
I don't like it at all.
You want to go to New York? Go to West Point, New York, Notre Dame.
1,000%.
Play it at Army. Play it on campus. They got a half-built stadium right now during renovations. Play it in front of 18,000 or whatever they got right now.
Where it's full.
See how you deal with that. See how you deal with that, Notre Dame. You think it's tough for a Group of 5 team to go play in front of 100,000. You go try play in front of 10,000, Notre Dame. See how
mojo.
Yeah, see how excited you get playing there. But anyway, they got Temple Thursday night. Army's 13.5-point favorites, over under 45.5 on this. First, let me talk Temple. And Temple's already played Navy. So it could be an advantage for Temple, seen a little bit of that style of offense. You go back to last year, remember Army was going to spread it out last year. And then they played a couple games and it failed miserably. And Jeff Monken was like, yeah, we're going back to that option, boys. And they turned their season around. Temple versus Navy. Navy beat them pretty good. Navy quarterback, who is having a fantastic year also, ran for 122 yards, threw for 112 yards. Just threw it 9 times. Temple gave up some big plays in that game, and that's what happens. That's what happens with this offense is they just freaking, well, I don't know what the phrase is, but they just paper cut you to death.
Yeah.
5 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards, 11 yards, 5 yards, 65 yards. They just, and if you are not disciplined for however many plays they're going to run, they're going to beat you. And not only do you have to be disciplined, you can't miss tackles because a lot of times you're in one-on-one situations in this offense. But, I mean, you look at their game versus Navy, they gave up big plays. They gave up a 62-yard TD run by the QB. They gave up a 65-yard touchdown run by the running back. And, you know, and Navy threw it on them a little bit too now. They'll get you with that. They'll throw it 5 or 6 times a game. They'll get you with that freaking play action. I'll tell you this, Jeff. When I was at Air Force and we were playing at the prep school, playing a JUCO schedule, we're running this offense. And I'm playing left tackle, and we do like a little muddle huddle, right? You huddle at the line of scrimmage, basically. And we're running the same play over and over and over again. And then we had a play called Texas 8. That was the play action. And every offensive lineman knew it was a touchdown every time. We just knew it. We were like, hell yeah, we're getting off the field, boys. Touchdown coming. You get a guy on a bomb right up the middle. The line's blocking the same exact play as they would on a fullback dive or whatever. So you're just coming off the ball. Just don't go downfield. And then they throw it over the top of you. But they gave up some big plays, and then offensively they couldn't do anything. Now, they made the quarterback change after week 2. Evan Simon at Temple,
Let me tell you,
is on a tear now. So they had Forrest Brock in there, 2 games. He threw 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions. Now, granted, he played some tougher competition. They bring in Simon after 2 games, 7 touchdowns. And the key, only 1 interception. And he's got another touchdown on the ground. So Temple has found something with the quarterback. The question is, can their defense stop Army?
Yeah, and that's going to be, the tough thing is you got to slow them down. Now, I'm not so sure this Temple offense, who's found some life over the last couple weeks, and Simon's at 65% completion percentage. You talked about the other stats since he's came in. I mean, he has lit a fire under this offense, but this Army defense ranked number 1 in the American right now, only giving up about 9 points a game. I mean, that's insane. And I know they've, FAU, some teams that have struggled on offense recently, but I don't care who you're playing. This is Division I football, and you're holding teams to 9 points a game, and then you're just abusing them on the other side. And you talked about the play action. Why it's so effective is, like you said, the line blocks the exact same. And linebackers key on it. They come up, they think it's run, and you've hit them with a run over and over and over and over and over again. So you commit an extra guy in the box. You're like, we're going to stop the run. What does that do on the outside? It gives you one-on-one man coverage. You don't have to read a thing. You take your best matchup, whoever wins, whether it's your X or your Z, you're only probably running 2 routes because everybody else is selling, run, and blocking, and you just chuck it up and let your guy go make a play. It's going to be tough for Temple. I do like them at home. They've played better at home, especially with Simon. I just don't think that they're going to be able to score enough because you got to take advantage of every possession when you play a team like Army. They are going to eat time of possession. They're going to chew the clock. Now, if somehow Temple can get up, that's the recipe to beat these academy teams is you get up 2-3 scores on them. And then now they have to change the way they play. And they got to start throwing it a little more than they want to. So can Temple get out early? Maybe. But Army has not turned it over, and they've been playing stingy defense. That is a great recipe to win ball games.
Well, and you talk about the defense, and you talk about how every possession matters. Well, that's how they're doing it defensively. Their offense is just keeping other offenses off the field. And if you're Temple, who's now got this new quarterback, you got all this momentum, and now are you going to have a drive? You go 3 and out, and then Army keeps the ball away from you for 30 minutes, 30 minutes real time, 8-9 minutes game time. So it's very difficult to get into a rhythm. And we've seen it firsthand, Jeff. That's the worst thing. And how this game could get out of hand for Temple is, let's just say Army goes down and scores in 7 minutes. And then Temple goes 3 and out in a minute. And then Army goes down and scores again in 7 minutes. And now, Jeff, you're a minute or two into the second quarter, down 2 scores, and you've only had the ball one time. And you've got no momentum. Now you're starting to play stiff. Now you're starting to play tight. You're starting to get a little desperate. You're starting to think we got to score every time we touch the ball now. Defense can't stop them. We're not in any kind of rhythm. And then, boy, that pressure starts mounting up, and then it gets real tough. It gets real tough. And I'm going to say this, too. Army, they've done it on special teams, too, now. They've got a blocked field goal already this year. They got a safety off of a punt. Bad punter dropped the snap, but still, they're scoring on special teams. They're running they're running all over on offense. They're throwing it a little bit, and their defense is holding people to 9 points. This is a tough team to deal with now. Really tough team to deal with. So I don't know. I Temple at home, Army, that kind of defense and offense is going to travel too.
Yeah, I mean, our Army would just have to not show up, in my opinion, and look like a different team than they have the last few weeks, and I just don't see that happening. Not saying it won't happen, because we've seen it over the last couple of weeks, but they're all about consistency and playing their part and doing their job. I think they come in and are ready to go.
It is a short week, so who knows how that will go into play. I do want to talk about this Army offensive line, Jeff, because buddy, they're so athletic. First of all, when they run the option, super wide splits most of the time. You're looking at like 3 feet, 3.5 feet splits. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One reason you do it is so that backside defensive end can't chase the play down, because if he's so far out there, the timing of it, even if he scrapes super hard, he won't be able to chase the play down because he's had to split so far. It also, what it does is it forces the D line to declare a gap. And in that offense, these guys are pretty much just coming out of their stance. They're running. You watch a play, it looks like they're just sprinting out of their stance. And what happens is every D lineman has to pick a gap. So if one guy gets his head across on a defensive lineman, cutback is there. One guy has to do it. It don't matter which one it is, because all the other ones, you're just going to take them where they want to go. They declare a gap play side, and you just run them out. And then, but dude, you got to watch the center. The center, Brady Small is his name, number 51, is like, he reminds me of, did you ever play like a wing T offense in high school, like in high school or whatever? And every wing T offense had one of these guys. Like, you have the offensive line and everybody's big guys, and then they have some kid playing center that weighs like 205 pounds and is so freaking good. Just like leverage, like just destroying people, folding linebackers. That's how the center is, but he ain't 205, Jeff. He's about 305, 315, at least what it looks like on film. And he crushes nose guards and allows the backside guard to take over the block. And then he gets up to the second level, and it's a thing of freaking beauty. It is a thing of beauty. And for a center to be able to do that, snapping the ball in that damn offense with all the crowd around his feet and everything going on behind him, and just, I mean, the movement that they get at the line of scrimmage is stupid. It's so stupid, and it's because they're playing with great leverage. They're athletic, and they're big. It's not a small offensive line. I mean, they're smaller than most, you know what I mean? But they're not little, and they're so athletic. I'm telling you, it looks like they got in a track stance, and they just run off the ball, and they're taking the defensive line with them. It's a thing of beauty, my friend. It's a thing of beauty. It's like watching art.
Can't wait to watch it.
Well, I need you to make a pick on this, Jeff, before we listen to some voicemails and get out of here.
I mean, I'm going to go Army. I mean, I think their defense is stout, and I think they're going to control time of possession. They're going to do what Army does. Give me Army.
Yeah, I like Army. I think they'll probably cover too. I think Temple right now, they do have some momentum with the quarterback, but one way to take momentum away is to keep them off the field.
No doubt.
And I think that's what we're going to see happen on Thursday night. Give me Army, and I think they cover that 13.5 as well. Guys, the hotline's been wide open. We've been getting a bunch of phone calls. Keep calling the hotline with your hottest takes, with your trash talk. any information you got, it's 615-900-4286. 3-minute limit on the voicemail. Jeff, how many do we have today?
Believe we have 6. These are left over from the weekend. Did have one get called in yesterday, but we'll bang them out, talk about them if somebody's got a good point, and appreciate you guys calling in, man. Keep them coming.
Yeah, buddy.
What's happening, group of 5 guys? It's Monday morning here in Perry, Georgia. Georgia Southern got their ass handed to them, but went about as expected, honestly. We didn't cover the spread, which sucks. But, Ole Miss, they're competing for a national championship this year. Them, Texas, and Georgia, in my opinion, are the best 3 teams in the SEC. I think Ole Miss is better than Alabama, personally. But that's just my opinion. That game's over with. J.C. French got his 1 turnover out of the way. We're still taking care of the football, which is great. His interception, it was not a good pass at all. But, last year, coming from Davis Brin, it was about every 3 or 4 passes there was a pass like that. So that was the first time in 4 games that JC, honestly, I was like, dude, who the hell are you throwing to? But looking ahead, we got the little kitty cats up in Atlanta this week. I don't even know if Georgia State fans even exist. I'm still kind of hard to find that out. There's a guy on 247 Sports, Georgia State, on Twitter, and that guy's an absolute clown and a bozo. What are we doing? Modern day hate, you can't even call it that anymore. That's the softest crap I've ever seen in my entire life. Georgia State, you suck. We're coming for blood on Saturday. God bless the group of 5 guys. God bless college football. God bless Georgia Southern. And Georgia State, you suck.
I love it. I love the rivalry.
Very soft move.
Big, yeah.
And it's now called, what is Georgia Grown rivalry?
Something
like
idiotic.
that. I swear, why do we want to take fun out of everything? I mean, what's next? What's next for Georgia Southern? They're going to change their rivalry with App, Deeper Than Hate. What are they going to call that one? What are they going to call 100 Miles of Hate?
Hate very much.
They already changed it all. This all started with Florida and Georgia, and they couldn't call it the cocktail party.
Yeah.
Because that was just too offensive. And I mean, look at what you give these people an inch, Jeff, and they take a mile. You can start changing the names of everything.
Our entire society's gone soft, Sprouse.
Yes, it has.
Hate it. Refuse to raise my kids that way. Anyways.
I mean, my kids are going to hate people, I can promise you.
All right, let's keep it going. Appreciate you, Josh.
Hey, group of 5 guys. What's Jeff doing over there? This is Juice, man. I'm just chilling, watching the old Green Wave, man, up against the Raging Cajuns. These penalties are killing us, but I was happy to see that pick 6 put us in the lead. I think maybe our defense is starting to figure things out. If we could just quit letting them referees throw them flags all over us, I like the way we're using Ty Thompson, man, and them little special packages and everything, and that's been pretty cool to watch. I just hope we can pull off the win. I'd hate to see us lose against them dang on Cajuns. And man, I've seen, looks like some upsets are in the mix. I've seen it look like James Madison is winning, and I really like to see ULM pull off an upset against Texas. That'd be pretty awesome. But just let me know what y'all think. All right, roll Wave.
Appreciate you, Juice.
For being a guy, it sounded like he was watching the game currently. I mean, talk about a guy that's relaxed.
I mean, he's chilling.
I mean, I can't. Yeah, he was chilling. I don't know if there was any kind of pharmaceuticals involved, but I mean, good for you.
Hey, it goes from rapping 1 week to nice game day call on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, I can't watch games I'm not even have a real rooting interest in without panicking.
Well, little ashwagandha Sprouse, it'll mellow you out. Maybe some
Is
other.
is that what ashwagandha does?
It's supposed to. That mixed with a little herb. Never know. Never know. Let's get to our next one. Keep it going. This one. Ooh.
Group of 5 guys. What's up? Yeah, lost to Tulane. Knew that was going to happen. Didn't think it was going to be a 1-score game, though. But I'd much rather get blown out than lose to another 1-score game. Honestly, it would have just been better because it just wouldn't have hurt that this bad. I knew we weren't going to score the last possession of the game. O-line couldn't block for shit. D-line couldn't get pressure on the quarterback. We haven't had a single sack in 3 games. We've only had 1 turnover on the defense in 3 games. We allowed a pick 6 and a kick 6. Our fucking kicker keeps kicking out of fucking bounds. We suck. We are a horrible football team. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, we played a good Tulane team or one score. No. That shit. We are a bad football team. We can't fucking finish games, and I'm fucking tired of it. I am tired of this bullshit. You're not going to get me with a banana in the tailpipe. I'm not falling for this bullshit anymore. I know we're a basketball team, and Dez just can't. He can't find a way to win. I mean, I know App State fans want to, fire Sean Clark. At least Sean Clark has had, 3 ranked wins in his time as an App State. I know App State has higher standards than UL does, but at least the dude can win against some good teams. UL just can't beat a good team. Probably going to be 6-6 again this year. I knew this was going to happen. Shout out to West Kentucky for beating Toledo and Buffalo, taking out NIU. I mean, just can't win those P4s and then come back and, can't perform. Shout out to the Naval Academy. Proud, sailor right here. Naval Academy beats Memphis. Awesome. And JMU beats the fuck out of Chapel Hill. I know App State fans are happy about that. But San Jose State, I was really rooting for Coach Niamatololo, guys that I know in the Navy played under him. Really hoping you get that win against Wazoo. And I know Zach Green's Flames are keep skating by. just keep skating by all the time. That game against App is going to be a fun one to watch. Hopefully App shows up. But hey, God bless Group of 5. God bless Group of 5 guys. Oh, before I leave, hey, JMU has entered the playoff conversation. So that's gonna be fun to watch. But God bless Group of 5. God bless Group of 5 guys. Go Cajuns, yeah.
Look, Terry, I know you're going through it. I just don't think Louisiana's that bad of a team. I still think Tulane is good. I think they're a good team. I think they're physical at the point of attack. You may have a point. I mean, James Madison is undefeated. But let me just say this.
Oh, no.
The JMU fan base
I'm telling you,
is
Jeff.
a sensitive bunch. They are.
We moved them up, Jeff. We moved them up like 7 spots in the poll, and also I realize I'm using the wrong logo, but when I put the JMU, it doesn't fit properly in the box, and so you can't even tell who it is. That's why I use that logo. I'll change it, and then they'll probably get mad because they can't see themselves on the poll. They'll say we didn't keep them in the poll. I thought I am still very close to being on the JMU bandwagon. But my God, now I just want to leave them down there and out of spite. And you know what else? The other part of it is, dude, yes, you beat North Carolina. You put 70 points on them. They also scored 50, and you also beat Gardner-Webb by 6 points. Okay?
I need to see more of them. I need to see AB3 be consistent and do it. So.
Yeah, man.
One of my best friends went to James Madison. Dude, they're like, these guys just hate James Madison because we smoked Middle Tennessee in the opener.
Dude, we
2
knew
years
they
ago.
were going to smoke Middle.
Yeah, we came on here and said y'all were going to do that.
When that schedule came out, we were like, oh my God, who is making the schedule for Middle? And I mean, you know what's funny is when we put that poll, I literally every time we post, I'm like, James Madison fans are finally going to be happy with us. And then they're still pissed.
Until they're number one.
They're number one, man. Maybe. We'll see if they get there. I tell you, though, Them beating North Carolina, though, that was maybe the first time in the history of college football where James Madison fans, App State fans, Liberty fans, Coastal fans were all happy.
Yeah, all on the same page.
All on the same page there. They see.
Shout out to you guys for uniting the clans.
There you go. Great job. Anyway, thanks, Terry.
Got a couple left.
What's up, everybody? Zach Green here. It's 2:43 in the morning on the East Coast here in Lynchburg, Virginia, and I may have just had my greatest Liberty football experience ever. Both teams have a drive. There's 13 minutes and some change on the clock in the first quarter. It's probably like 6:10, 6:15. 4 hours plus rain delay. We don't start playing football again until maybe 10:45. If we hadn't started by 11, the game was going to be canceled. That's how close we came. And so we finally start the game. ECU comes out hot, 17-0. And the boys just kept fighting, man. Closed out the game, I think, on a 35-7 run. Won 35-24. I mean, what a long night, but what an amazing night, man. We had probably our second greatest crowd in school history, 24,076, which I think is just behind BYU. By the time that game started, I know we were under 15, possibly under 10. But those of us that were there, we're going to remember this one for a long time, man. We gutted it out as fans, but those players, man, shout out to them from both teams, fighting it. ECU had a good game. There's a questionable call there that went our way on a fumble, but I'll take it, man. Defense played well for most of the game. Offense had some really encouraging improvements tonight, although there were some turnovers that were not good, but what an incredible experience. Shout out to Steven Statler, also known as Turtle Power, for seeing him tonight. Came down from Pennsylvania. Caleb Wynn, good talking to you, man. Several other people that I'm not sure that are listening, but if you are, you know who you are. Just an incredible game, man. Shout out to ECU for fighting hard, and for those ECU fans that stayed so long, and for the students that came back after leaving. Just incredible. Incredible experience. And Reese Smith, man, 2 or 3 touchdowns. What a game by him as a receiver. Just incredible game. But here we go, man. Next week, App State, Baker, Stu, we're coming, baby. And it's for the championship of the Liberty ECU App State round robin. ECU's 0-2. Both of us are 1-0. It's time to go to war. I'm looking forward to it, man. Going to be there. Baker, Stu, hope to see you guys there. Anyways, I'm signing out, guys. Shout out to Western Kentucky. Shout out to Sam Houston. It's a 3-horse race in the conference right now, and it's going to be tough. Those 2 games at the end of the season are going to be crazy. So, go Flames. Go Conference USA. Thanks for all you do. God bless. Good night.
Zach hanging in there on the late night. Appreciate it, man. Look, you just better get ready for a game in Murfreesboro, Tennessee sometime in November.
Geez.
We're going to get healthy. Blue Raiders going to get healthy and give Liberty a freaking run for their money. That's all I got to say about that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I'm always
I wish. I hope.
home team.
Yeah. Appreciate Zach, man. 3 a.m. Shout out to those fans that stuck it out, huh?
Big time. Dedication.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to our last caller. He has 2, but it's Steeple. He gets special privileges, my guys.
Steeple.
Hey, Group 5 guys. This is Steeple _PC _51, a.k.a. Steeple Daddy 51. First of all, let's get it out the way. Coastal had an okay showing. A little bit too much mistakes. I think calling the quarterback draw a little bit too much, but I don't get paid the big bucks to make them calls. I just call the way I see it. Can't give up over 350 yards on the ground. But they fought to the end. Sprouse So you had them good old flights. I was on them also. I was at the lake. Spent some time with the in-laws and the kiddies, but I was on a float with the flights, getting right. But I had my laptop and my Hulu Live, so I definitely was watching the games. And got a little downer, so I want to give a shout-out to my boy Stu Wright. South Alabama just came in there, and they put the whipping stick on you guys, unfortunately. So, it was a rough weekend. I was disappointed. And like I told you guys, these teams aren't surprised anymore. They're ready for us. You guys in Georgia Southern, damn, y'all took 1-2. Marshall took a beat down. Damn. We can't do nothing in the Sun Belt. But, I don't know, man. I'm in disarray, man, because I thought we compete better than that. But, hey, JMU, they put 70 on UNC. I mean, what can we say? It's still a quality team. It looked like the action. Seems like the best conference right about now. But we'll see. At the end, still got a long season. So, love you guys. Love Group of 5. Love everybody in the Sun Belt. Sean's up. Still got to give a shout out to Zach. I'm sorry. Zach, Liberty doing what they have to do, 4-0. They're looking good. Like I say once again, James Madison, 3-0. And Terry Johnson, hurting. My dark horse, Southern Miss, I was bragging on my boy. They're going to get it together, hope soon. They lost to Jacksonville State. I just don't know. I'm so torn up by some of these things, and I'm holding a lot in. But I guarantee you, I will start stepping it up. I'm going to let in next week. I damn sure going to let in next week. When we win, I'm letting in on everybody. So y'all be on notice. I'm telling you about the Sun Belt, the American, the MAC, whoever. You better do what you got to do next week, because I'm going to be in front of the TV, taking notes, and I'm going to be bringing it to the Group of 5 next week. Chance up.
Steeple, our guy, man. Appreciate you.
That's what I'm talking about, Steeple.
Something about a rough week. Now we're getting into week 5. We're going to get a lot more conference matchups. We're going to start really seeing what these teams are built for and seeing how they can handle what the most important thing is. That's conference.
It sure is. I did have a couple Yingling flights on the golf course the other day, Jeff.
There you go.
So, yeah, not a bad showing for me. But Coastal, that was an interesting game. We talked about it earlier with Temple making the QB change.
Yeah.
For Coastal. And then then Coastal goes and plays Virginia, which we thought they could do, but they didn't look great against Temple, and then they come back and they play Virginia. They don't look great either. So we'll see what happens, though. I mean,
Sunbelt's wide open.
Again, it is. It's wide open, and with all these conferences, really, all the Group of 5 conferences can, your top team can get upset. They can. But yeah, the Sun Belt's one of those where we're still, no idea, especially in the East. No idea who's even a real contender in the East right now. But that's all we got, Jeff.
That's it.
Well, look, we appreciate you guys calling. Keep calling 615-900-4286. Before the game, give us your picks. After the game, give us your excitement or your heartbreak. But just keep calling. We'll play you on the air. Don't forget to follow us on all the social platforms at Group of 5 Guys. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Varsity app. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a 5-star rating. Leave a review. Most importantly, tell your family and friends all about us. That is all we got for you guys today. Enjoy your Wednesday, hump day. Enjoy the rest of the week, and we will catch you Friday morning. Out of here.